Guys, this podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop. The next time you're looking to add the newest wrestling figures to your lineup, you've got to go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Started by collectors for collectors around the globe, Wrestling Collector Shop has been serving fans the latest and greatest in wrestling action figures since 2002. Whether you're looking for basics, elites, or ultimates, Wrestling Collector Shop should be your first stop the next time you're looking for wrestling figures. So make sure to go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com and use code SWOGGLE to save yourself 10% on your order. Again, that's 10% off with code SWOGGLE only at WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Hey guys, once again, another episode going Postl. As you saw in the title, it's me versus Chavo. Coming off the heels of last episode where I interviewed Chavo, we're going to kind of deep dive into the whole feud and story and angles and just debauchery of sorts. That is Hornswoggle versus Chavo Guerrero. But before we go any further, easy for me to say, I'm Dylan. That's George. George, hi.
Dylan, how are you today? I feel like we always throw to the plugs immediately, but how are you doing, my friend?
Good. I'm good. I have a Whatnot tonight. Guys, this drops on Wednesday, September 4th. I have a Whatnot, the big return to Whatnot. I have a lot of items going up on the block. Get yourself $10 free to use on Whatnot by going to swoggleauction.com and signing up. There's going to be PSA graded cards. There's going to be a Shawn Michaels signed figure. There is a Hornswoggle Finley Unmatched Fury lot. There is a Sable pewter keychain. If you have ever thought, I need a great keychain for my keys, look no further than Whatnot tonight. That's how
of all the things for you to do a big pitch on and everything that you just named, I was not expecting the long pitch on the Sable keychain, but
the
quite a
random
lineup
items.
There, though, man.
I always do one or two random items, and they're always like just fun. I scour eBay looking for random Attitude Era items, WCW items, plushies, random things, and Whatnot is always where you find them each and every time I find them myself.
Now, Dylan, you're on such a roll here. Would you like to let the fine people listening know where they can find us and this show on all forms of social media?
One time! Guys, you can find this. If you're watching it live, if you're watching this as it drops on YouTube, the free video version, you can also find the audio version of this, as well as Going Postl, as well as This is Going Postl.
This is Going Postl.
George, do the fucking plug.
On all forms of social media, at Going Postl Pod. Dylan's social media is at Dylan Postl. You can also follow this show, like we just mentioned, but also State of Affairs, which is Dylan's show with Captain Joe Shoes at Affairs Pod. You can also follow my other show, which is the Game Marks podcast with none other than our double, triple, quadruple main man, Johnny Clash. But on this podcast, we refer to him as what?
Carouse! But I love that you used double main man, and it's not Shoes you're talking about. He's not going to be happy about that.
Like Dylan said, you can check out the free video version over at youtube.com/DylanPostl, DylanPostl.com for all of Dylan's links to his shirts, his big cartel, all things Swoggle, DylanPostl.com. If you just want shirts specifically, that's over at ProWrestlingTees.com/Swoggle. Now, State of Affairs, Going Postl, and the Game Marks podcast are all a part of a little podcast network that we started called PodXchange. That's PodXchange, and we are at PodXchange on all forms of social media. And you can also check us out. We have a little store. It's podexchange.shop. Once again, that's PodXchange.shop. But Dylan, that's enough plugs, man. Like you said, today we're talking about all things Hornswoggle versus Chavo. I am very, very excited for this because there's a lot to cover here. There's a lot of matches. There's a lot of celebrity appearances. There's a lot of gimmick matches that otherwise we probably wouldn't talk about. Like, there's a lot. And I'm hoping that you got some real good stories.
Well, let's not go crazy.
Okay, I'm hoping that you remember some real good stories.
Yes, I remember some. I'm looking at the notes. Guys, I'm looking at the notes. There are a couple things on here that I actually remember, and a couple things that even I have questions about. But before we go any further, you know what we have to do, George?
Oh, look at that. What do we have to do?
Ad break! Are you a fan of Disney, Pixar, Jurassic Park, The Office, or even WWE? Or maybe you just want a sleek and comfortable pattern shirt? Then you need to check out Roosevelts.com. RSVLTS.com today. Roosevelts makes the most eye-catching and comfortable shirts going today. Whether it's button-ups, or polos, or hoodies, or even hats, and everything in between, Roosevelt's truly has something for everyone. Made for those with the love of sports, pop culture, and so much more, and above all else, having a kick-ass time. This clothing is for the bold and fun, for those who dare mighty things. Roosevelts.com, check them out.
All right, Dylan. Kick us off here. We're going to start with July 9th, 2009. What do we got?
I defeated Chavo Guerrero while he was on his knees. I have no recollection of this match. Oh, I do know this match! I believe in this match.
A long episode, guys.
Chavo tried to climb the top rope while on his knees. If you want any more from this match, I don't got it. I don't remember this match. That
sounds so difficult.
I remember him doing it in rehearsal and it working.
No, but it sounds insanely difficult.
Very much. I have no recollection of this other than that.
I'm surprised you remembered anything. Is this why you wanted the notes today? Because you remembered so little about this?
100% why I wanted the notes today. I didn't want it to all be like, yeah, you did this. And I go, nope, didn't happen.
Was so confused right before we started where you were just like, hey, man.
It wasn't me
you
trying
have
to
notes?
be professional.
I'm like, yeah, I
it
always
wasn't
have
me
notes.
trying to be professional. Come on, you know that from now.
Like, hey, do you want to send me the notes? I was like, has hell froze over? Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you the notes. Now we know, guys.
100%. I just didn't want to always just go, no, it didn't happen. So now we go to July 13th. And Seth Green is the guest host. And I defeat Chavo Guerrero when Chavo has one arm tied behind his back.
And you guys talked about this in your interview with Chavo, which guys, if you haven't listened to, you got to go listen to. You guys were so game for all of these stipulation, like crazy thing, just because it was you guys made the most of it, which is, I think, the best way to go into this.
Yeah, we knew we had TV time. That's the thing. Like, this was TV time every week. When you looking at this list, I had no idea it was this long. Legitimately, no idea it was this many weeks in a row. This is insane to me.
Well, we're going to talk about the cherry on top of the whole thing, because this all leads to something that's pretty cool that I hope you have somewhere. But we're gonna talk about that a little later. But let's continue down the list. We talked about the one hand tied behind his back. What's next?
ZZ Top. So here's a fun one. I remember this one because my dad loves ZZ Top. I love ZZ Top. So they guest hosted, and they put Chavo and I in a sharp dressed man tuxedo match. And then you know what that meant? I got a tux. I literally just got a free tux, which I still wear to this day for random things. It's hanging in my closet. I literally wear this suit all the time.
Is it like a full?
It was a full tux,
like with the tails and everything, or is it just like a nice suit?
It's like a suit. I would say it's a nice suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if it was a full tux with like the tails and everything, like you got to go out and do a signing in that. Like that's
it was a full suit, and I was like, hell yeah, this is great.
That's awesome.
That's all I remember from this match. And I just remember loving it because I got to like, I remember Chavo was the one to interact with the guest host that one in the back that night, but I like got to meet them and got an album signed, and yeah, it was great. Hell yeah,
that's cool. I feel like that. This, and you guys talk about it in the interview, that it's so like, one, having, you know, TV time is great, but also the opportunity to interact with all of the guest hosts and have, you know, these backstage segments, little spots in the ring with the guest hosts is kind of awesome.
It's incredible. It's like thinking about it now, it's just like, it's crazy to look back and think about of how much we got to do.
Well, July 27th, 2009.
Yeah. This
Shaq is the guest host.
Man, obviously everyone liked Michael Jordan. I loved Shaq. Shaq was my guy. Always, Shaq was I don't watch sports. As you guys know, I don't care about sports. I loved Shaq. He was great. And like, he was around a lot at shows out in LA or Miami. He was always at shows if he was around. And he was just a fan. And then his kids were huge fans. And they wanted a photo with me right away. And it was one of those things like, this is great. This is incredible that his kids wanted to meet me before meeting Randy Orton and John Cena. It's one of those things where again, as we know on this podcast, I don't view myself as that. So for that to happen, it's like, me? Okay. And then I got to do like a cool thing in the backstage with him where I did like a slam dunk on a mini basketball hoop. I remember that. That's all I really remember. But I have the basketball in my bar. Shoes! Had me take photos of these items. But I have the basketball in my basement from this night, which is signed by Shaq, which, I mean, some people can say they have like full-size basketballs signed by him, but this was signed, and it's a mini basketball that was used on Raw, signed by Shaq that night. It's pretty awesome for me.
And then you and Chavo have a match that night, but Chavo has to wear a blindfold and you don't.
There was a lot of these, which I love, because it was like, just like after, it's just blatant like one-sidedness. I forget what the thing was with the tuxedo. Like,
you have to, like, it's a regular tuxedo match. Like, you have to strip the tuxedo,
but
and then
I feel like something was wrong with his tuxedo or something. Like, every time there was something wrong with his things. We'll get to the other ones later, obviously.
I think the pants were too big.
Is that what I remember? I pantsed him and he had funny boxers on or something.
Yeah, I remember there being something with the pants, and then I think he's got like spicy pepper like boxers or something. Yeah.
So I was gonna say jalapeno boxers, but this was one of them where the blindfold, and I remember like having to then figure out, okay, how is he gonna like be a heel in this? So obviously behind the ref's back, he would move the blindfold and all of that, and just. He was so game. I mean, you're going to hear it all the time. He was so game for everything we did. Literally everything we did. It was great. I just loved it.
It's so... this is such an interesting and fun list of matches that, like, it's so different than the matches we normally talk about. And this next one that we're going to talk about is definitely a doozy. August 3rd, 2009, Jeremy Piven is the guest host. And Chavo has to wrestle Mark Swoggle, which is Mark Henry wearing the Hornswoggle hat.
Me being the researcher as I am. Chavo's pants the legs were sewn together.
Ah, that's what it was.
The legs were sewn together.
Legs were sewn together.
Yes. The Mark Henry thing, I was like, okay, I wonder how we're going to do this. Am I going to dress as Mark Henry? Nope. Mark Henry is going to, quote unquote, dress as me. Which, in that case, it is literally just Mark Henry wearing my green hat and then doing the heel click. Beating Chavo and then doing the heel click again. But, again, I got on television, and that's all I cared about at that time. Like, it's fun. The next one, go ahead.
So, it's just, doing the research, I did a double take at Mark Swoggle. I was like, what?
Yes.
What's Mark Swoggle? And then, you do your research and you find out what it is. And I was like, oh yeah, That's a thing that happened.
Like I said, I only remember that one because there's definitive. I always like the clip randomly comes up of Mark Henry doing the heel click with my hat on, or him coming out with my hat on. That's all. That's the only reason I remember this match.
You said you were excited for the next one. So what's the next one?
Yeah. So the next one is August 10th. It's a little break of the me and Chavo stuff because it's Legacy of Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes versus me and Mark Henry coming off the previous week.
Oh.
And I remember this because I was like, oh man, obviously they're giving a little push here to Legacy. They're making them look like a couple killers here and main event tag team and big stars. So we're gonna be taking the pin. I didn't know that I would be taking Ted DiBiase's finish that night. And so I remember going through the finish, and it's almost like a sleeper. Like he has you in a sleeper clutch from behind, and he lifts you up and gives you like a flat out slam, like a layout slam.
It's the $1 Million Dream into the one and only.
What's the one and only?
Is Billy Gunn's sleeper lift thing.
Correct.
But it's from the $1 Million Dream starting position.
So all I had to do in taking this, hold on until he lifts and then let go. Hold on until he lifts and let go. All I didn't do while taking this was let go. And he slammed me so hard because it was my fault. Literally after the match, we get to the back and DiBiase Jr. comes up to me and he goes, I told you to let go. I told you, I'm so sorry. I said, I know you did.
Shit.
He goes, and he was like apologizing to me because he knew it rocked me, and it freaking rocked me so much. I remember because I held on for the issue is if you hold on for the whole ride, you can't land flat. That's all it is. So just take your own bump, let go and take your own bump, and you're going to land perfectly flat, perfectly safe. But if you hold on, you're bringing his arms into you and you're landing on your side. It was such a rough bump, I remember. And I just remember getting to the back and going, oh, you idiot. Because I bet we rehearsed it 4 or 5 times on the crash pad, and it was fine.
Now, how often would you say for these matches, like the blindfold match, tuxedo match, like did you guys do full rehearsals for these, or were most of these just like talk to the back?
No, for a lot of these we did because we had funny business in it. Like we'd make sure that we had 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the ring because of rehearsal time, because we would have, interferences or just funny business. Chavo having to climb on his knees, the blindfold thing with a couple spots in there, or the tuxedo match of having to figure out how to wrestle in sewn pants. We really had to figure it out because it's not just talking it out like a normal match.
Okay,
obviously, go ahead.
No, because I was going to say, you brought it up, a couple times here, but I didn't know if it was every single match or if it was just like ones that, you had to have specific timing, or, you had to, like you said, Chavo climbing the turnbuckles on his knees. Like, if it was some where you're just like, hey, we're just going to go out, like, this is what we have to do, or if it was like every single time you ran through.
Yeah, so, the next one here is we had to do really nothing for besides just talk it out. But, and then go through the, we shot the stuff. I think we shot that we pre-recorded the pink thing. And the running in the back.
Set it up. We're talking about August 17th, 2009. Freddie Prinze Jr. is the host. What happens in that match?
He puts us, Chavo and I, in a Falls Count Anywhere match where we start in the ring. And I don't even remember if we did anything in the ring, to be honest. I literally think the bell rang and I just ran to the back. And Chavo chased me to the back. He finds an open door and there's a swinging paint can. And then he looks at, then Mark Henry comes out of the room, and he said, he shakes his head no, and Chavo gets up, and it's Macaulay Culkin for the whole Home Alone paint can bit, which, man, for me was so cool. I loved Home Alone. I loved Macaulay Culkin. I loved Richie Rich. I loved the Page Master. I love Macaulay Culkin. I love everything Macaulay Culkin has done. So,
Richie Rich.
Oh, Richie Rich is
forgot about
top.
those.
That's top 20 kids movie for me. live action kids movie. A lot of the stuff we did rehearse and plan out, but like this one, obviously, we just had to pre-record. Like I say, I'm almost positive we pre-recorded the backstage bit, especially having the paint can. Yeah, we for sure did. Having the paint can hit right and Macaulay Culkin, the bit with him and all of that after the pin.
Again, that's a timing thing. So it's not even necessarily having to do a rehearsal. It's just, this is a controlled situation. We can't have this go wrong live. It's got to be a pre-record.
That's why I think we for sure did it pre-recorded.
All right. That's good to know. Anytime that you remember stuff like that, where it's like this was a pre-recorded or, that's...
I don't have anything signed by Macaulay Culkin. Shit.
Oh. Well.
Oh, you know why? I didn't know he was going to be there. That's why.
Because he wasn't the guest host. It was Freddie. Yeah, it was Freddie Prinze Jr.
He came with Freddie Prinze. That's what it was.
Freddie Prinze Jr. on the interview list. Maybe.
Freddie Prinze Jr. is high on the interview list. He's high on the interview list.
Maybe send a message there, Dylan. Maybe.
Remind me this week, George, and I'll send it this week.
Listen, that might have to happen. That might be a good one.
That would be a great one.
August 24th, 2009, Hornswoggle defeats Chavo Guerrero by disqualification in a boxing exhibition match because the guest host was Floyd Mayweather.
I have a pair of boxing gloves in my basement signed by Floyd Mayweather, who is arguably top 5 biggest boxers of all time. Man, it's awesome. It's awesome. And that one, I believe, I won by DQ because he got sick of it and just booted me or something. And that was the DQ.
Yeah.
Because he had the oversized gloves, which I remember thinking, if we do a spot in here where he has to hit me with these, I'm dead. Those things weigh so much. I'm done. I'm literally going to get knocked through the ropes.
They weren't like sock and boppers. They were real.
No, they were the big oversized, when you go to Dave and Buster's or whatever. Yeah. But it's I think that's where we also planted the seed of the me and Evan Bourne thing. Yeah. We planted the seed of the me and Evan Bourne thing, which we'd get to a few times in the near future, especially during this. But also just randomly, I would save Evan Bourne or he would save me. I wish it went farther than that, but man, Evan Bourne was having a little shove at the top, during his early run. He was on a little bit of a shove. He was going to be the thing.
August 31st, 2009 on Raw. Guest host Dusty Rhodes puts you in a Texas bull rope match.
Let me say this. Guys, if you know me, if you've listened to this podcast, if you listened to State of Affairs, anything before 1990, in my mind, isn't good. I'm sorry. I don't like wrestling before 1990. Having a Texas bull rope match given to you by the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, for me, I was like, oh, it's TV time. Great. For Josh Binder, he goes, this is the best thing ever. Because it is a Texas bull rope match from Dusty Rhodes. And I was also like, oh man, I have to dress as a cowboy. Oh wait, here's more things I get to keep. A cowboy outfit that for the next 5 years I can randomly wear on a Halloween week. It's just stuff like that. And then, of course, it's me as a cowboy and Chavo is dressed as a cow. And he legitimately could barely... I think he could see less out of this than the blindfold. It was so bad. And then there was a spot where I think I had to ride him and I couldn't get on his back because I was a little husky at the time and him on all fours is a little tall. And yep. Yeah.
All right. September 7th, 2009. This is where Swoggle was talking about earlier. Evan Bourne defeats Chavo Guerrero after a little help from Hornswoggle. Swoggle, what happened?
I used a super soaker. Now, if you ask me if I remember this one and using a super soaker in this one, I would say nay. I feel like I used a super soaker 50 times. Whether it's these or live events or anything, I used the super soaker so many times. Between that and juggling tennis balls on live events, I just kept doing it. I remember I did it with Natalia, I'm pretty sure I did it with a Super Soaker, or Tyson Kidd or both. Rosa Mendez, I hit with a Super Soaker. I hit Matt Stryker with a Super Soaker. I used a Super Soaker a lot. I have so little recollection of this that it says Chavo then proclaims he gives up in this feud. I don't have any recollection of this. I have no idea what was happening at this point of my career. This is all dark matter to me. I have no idea.
No,
I do remember the next week.
Okay, so the next week
is September 21st. Cedric the Entertainer defeats Chavo Guerrero after interference by me. Cedric the Entertainer was dressed up as Nacho Libre. I then come out dressed up, I believe.
Actually dressed up as Nacho Libre, or was he just a luchador?
It looked very similar to Nacho Libre. Look it
I
up.
think he may have just been just a luchador.
Nope. Look it up. Or they originally had him as Nacho Libre, and then they switched it. Oh, it wasn't. It was a black and sparkly one. The original one they wanted him to wear was Nacho Libre, but they couldn't because of that. And then there was an extra underneath the ring. A big fella. And he was dressed up as Big Cedric the Entertainer. And he gorilla pressed Chavo. And then I came out as Little Cedric the Entertainer, wearing the mask and the cape and the outfit. We danced. He wore a mask at one point. I remember this. He came out with the Bellas and he wore a mask. I had the mask and the cape. It's still in my garage right now. I had him sign a copy of.
I was just gonna say, is the mask signed?
Nope. Barbershop. Oh. That's in my bar. I love the movie Barbershop. I love it to this day. I remember it was a fun segment. Cedric was a fan of WWE, and he was like still hot at the time. So yeah, I think he promoted his comedy tour.
Oh yeah. They usually like tied that in. So like the guest host always had something to plug. Yeah.
So little inside baseball. Either they got to plug their stuff, or they got a very small payday. And it was not
okay.
What I always heard, it was not a very great payday. But you got to plug in all your stuff, or you got your payday. And most of them, if you watch, plugged something.
Yeah. Why not? That's the way to do it. On September 28th, 2009, Chris Masters and Chavo Guerrero defeat Hornswoggle and Santino Marella.
So, with this is where I remember hearing we're not going any further with the me and Chavo stuff. And I went, why? And they go, well, we might have you guys team up. And I go, oh, so I'm just not wrestling him anymore? They go, as of now, I think you're going to kind of do something with him tonight. And then next week, he's going to save you, or you're going to save him again. And then we might team you guys. And I was like, oh, this is great. Okay. Again, in my mind, it's TV time. We could have had some fun with it. Who knows where it would have went? Now, so that was September 28th. Now we go to October 5th, the next week, where it's MVP and Mark Henry defeat Chavo and Masters. Afterwards, Masters attacks Chavo. I bite Masters on the butt to save Chavo. And now we have a standoff. And what do I do? Because it makes sense. Do I shake his hand? No. Do I give him the little Eddie Guerrero shuffle? No. I crotch chop his ass.
Well, you're leaving out one important thing here. On the September 28th episode, where it's Chris Masters and Chavo, and you and Santino.
Yeah.
After the match, Masters put you in the master lock, and Chavo saves you, and then you return the favor and save him the following.
Correct. Yeah. So that's where I heard the September 28th one was where I heard that. Hey, we're gonna start teaming. This is gonna end up where you and Chavo team.
So now you're like 1 for 1. He saved you. You saved him.
It was the October 5th Raw where plans were stopped. Again.
It's because you did the crotch chop.
No. That's why I did the crotch chop. I was talking about it on the Chavo episode where we just heard one day it was done. Because that was the day where Shawn Michaels went to Triple H and went, hey, my kids really like him. And Triple H goes, Chavo? And it was literally like a DX segment. And he goes, no, idiot, Hornswoggle. Like, and that's why on the October 5th episode, I cross-chopped him. Because that was the start of the DX stuff.
It's planting seeds. Storytelling.
Seeds. So it's one of those things where I was like, man, it was done. But then it was like, now looking at the notes, it wasn't really done.
No, it keeps going for a little bit. It's just you're on the outs. You're slowly winding down that storyline and building into the next part.
Chavo's still cannon fodder for me, of course.
On the October 12th episode of Raw, Hornswoggle continues doing DX stuff, so Chavo Guerrero starts thinking that DX is tricking Hornswoggle. On the October 19th episode, Hornswoggle showed up to stop Chavo from interfering in the Divas title match. Oh, because this is the guest host with Snoop Dogg that you guys talked to.
I would then
talked about in the interview.
I would then dance with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. And there's another story about what happens after the match.
Guys, check out before, after, during the whole show that night. Guys, check out last episode, the Small Talk with Chavo, to hear a very inside baseball story about everyone's gatherings with the Snoop Dogg.
You can probably connect the dots. It's Snoop Dogg.
They probably could not connect the dots by the end of the night. Yeah. But I remember that because I remember them telling me I was going to dance with Snoop Dogg, and I was like, okay, I'm going to dance with Snoop Dogg. Here we go. And it was dancing with Snoop Dogg. And now at this point, I have no idea where we're going.
Any Snoop Dogg memorabilia? Anything signed by Snoop Dogg?
No. Oh yeah, I have an album. Or
okay.
I have a CD.
Okay.
Yep.
So now we're going to October 26th. The Melina and Santino defeat Jillian Hall and Chavo after Hornswoggle interferes in DX gear, hitting some crotch chops. But then you get served with a cease and desist from DX.
No idea of this. No idea how I interviewed. No idea what I did. I have zero idea about this one.
All right. Well,
I remember the cease and desist. I do remember the cease and desist part. I remember that.
Okay. So it continues. On the following week, you continue to do trademark DX stuff. And then November 16th episode of Raw, Santino defeats Chavo in a grudge match.
MSG. Let me check. Doing research. November.
Would have been nice if we did it before the episode, but live works. I can cut it out.
Hey, dickhead! It was from the fucking garden.
No one said you were wrong. We were just waiting for you to look it up.
I understand that. But when I feel like I might be wrong, I get upset. I like being correct.
But no one said you were wrong. Literally no one doubted you.
I questioned I. This is at the garden, and I remember this. I don't remember the interference thing. Honestly, I don't remember that at all. If I did interfere, this is the least recollection part ever, because all I remember of this is like rehearsing the segment with DX in the ring, gonna take a pedigree in the middle of Madison Square Garden. The best part is so that the thing I remember most of this, two things. The number one thing I remember is going through the pedigree and Triple H, like after he puts me, between the legs, going, oh, how am I supposed to grab this? Because these, they're not normal, especially when they go back. For those listening
to the audio version, Dylan held up his arms.
I don't got real arms, guys. got little T-Rex arms. So the Triple H going like, how? And I remember in rehearsal him doing that and like me coming out and going, I get it, okay. And so I remember that, and then him blatantly saying, "Don't rush this. Don't rush this. Don't rush this." And me going, I'm going to eat this. This is going to be the best pedigree anyone could ever take. And I remember like we actually rehearsed it twice and it looked like he was killing me with it and everyone was loving it and I was loving it. It's great. And then the next thing I remember of that rehearsal, because then they pull out like a backboard for me. And then them, of course, putting me on it and going, God damn, you're so heavy, just ribbing me about that, which I don't care. I don't at that time. I'm a part of fucking DX. It's the best night of my life. So it was like, man, that night was legitimately life-changing. That night was life-changing for me. I know we would do stuff in the future. I wasn't even really part of DX then, but between then and me actually being part of them, that night was I felt like the official kickoff of, man, we're, here we go, as we say. And I knew where it was leading. I just didn't know how we were going to get there.
November 30th, 2009, Raw guest host Vern Troyer suggests that Hornswoggle sues DX
George
for
edits
everything.
that out. Hey, Vern, I'm sorry that you passed away. Fuck you. You were supposed to be the goddamn judge of Little People's Court. You wanted to be the only fucking dwarf on the show. You wanted to be top midget that night, and you wouldn't be the judge of Little People's Court. I'm not happy. Pissed me off. I still got to work with you. I got a quick photo. That was kind of cool. Still not happy about it.
Did he sign anything?
No! Because I was angry.
I asked for everyone else. I wanted to make sure that I asked for him too.
I fucking bought Austin Powers 2 to bring that week. Then I heard he said no. I didn't even fucking bring it. That's how mad I was. I could have an Austin Powers 2 DVD in my bar, but Vern, you said no.
And then on December 7th, 2009.
I remember our backstage thing. And obviously, okay, let's be honest here. Vern Troyer is the guest host. I'm the other midget on the show. There had to be an interaction. Obviously, there had to be an interaction. It would have been so cool to have that be the interaction and have that, him be the judge of Little People's Court. But, this was fine. Him telling me I needed to sue them and, I remember we fist bumped.
December 7th, 2009. Hornswoggle still clad in DX gear. And Eve Torres defeat Chavo and Jillian Hall. And after the match, Chavo threatens Hornswoggle while Eve begs him to stop. But then, in a surprise twist of fate, Chris Masters comes out and saves Hornswoggle.
You want to talk about no recollection at this point. This now is the most no recollection moment. I remember now this. So Masters all of a sudden turned babyface because of the night he titty danced. Ozzy Osbourne was the host, and they did some Got Talent thing, and Masters titty danced to Crazy Train.
How many times are you going to say titty dance?
Guys, leave a comment. If you're watching this, or if you're listening to this, head over to the YouTube video, youtube.com/Dylan Postl. Leave a comment of what you would call what Masters did. It's titty dancing. So going back, that's why he was literally that night. Vince was like, "Ha! God damn, he's funny. He can make his tits bounce. Oh, he's funny. Look at him making those dance." Guys, I don't remember that.
I want to cut that whole fucking segment.
No,
I want you to know.
This isn't being cut out. This is not being cut out. We need this to stay. What we're talking about is I have no recollection of that segment happening, that match happening, nothing. Was it just a regular match? I don't know. Was it just it must have been a regular, I guess it was a tag match. I have zero memory of this match. Zero.
I gotta say though, I gotta give you credit.
I did okay.
We just talked about from July to December.
Yeah.
You remembered a lot.
I don't like notes. I don't like notes because of this. Because I look and then I go, oh man, I'm thinking. I like off the cuff because then I can think about it and but it's gonna depend on the topic.
This was a lot to cover, and there were little intricate details about every match. And
yeah, and the reason I wanted this is because I wanted to see what guest hosts we really worked with. There was something really cool that came out of this, though, George. Shoes and I talked on State of Affairs. We argued LJNs versus Hasbro's. That was this latest episode. But what came out of this feud with Chavo and I is actually a really, really cool thing. It was a 2-pack of me versus Chavo from Mattel. I have actually the right there. It's one of the prototypes of that from that 2-pack. So yeah, it's me just in the fluffy shirt, the Seinfeld shirt, as I called it.
The pirate shirt, yep.
Yep. And man, to get another figure out of this, really, it was really, really awesome. And it made me happy. It's a cool box of me running from him. I've signed a good amount of these. Whenever I got figures, it was always special to me because that's what got me into wrestling. So to have this 2-pack and a new figure completely, with just the pirate shirt and no jacket in that, made me feel really good. I'm glad that came out of such a really, really fun time. I mean, week after week after week after week after week, of just funny business and Gaga. It's just, man, hey, Wrestle Crap, I hate you. I hate you so much. This was not the worst feud of the year. It was probably way worse. This was a lot of fun. This provided entertainment for children. I have people coming up. I have adults coming up to me these days going, man, I loved when I was a kid, and I paused them. I said, you're going to make me feel really old. But then I let them keep going. And they say, I loved the feud with you and Chavo. It was just fun each and every week. And that's what wrestling should be. It can't always be 5-star contests and flip-flops and Greco-Roman knuckle locks. No, sometimes you got to bite an ass.
Well, what Dylan is alluding to is in 2009, WrestleCrap awarded the Hornswoggle and Chavo feud the Gooker Award, which is the worst feud award for 2009.
They hated the Gobbledygooker. They decided, like, hey, this is a really shitty feud. Let's give it the Gooker Award. I loved the Gobbledygooker. It's going to be on my Thanksgiving table every year from Mattel. Egg, Gooker, and right in my I decorate for every holiday every month. Whenever it's holiday season, this goes on my windowsill or on my entertainment center every Thanksgiving from now going forward.
All right. Well, guys,
can you imagine if Undertaker would have came out of an egg? It would have been dog shit. Dog shit. Now they have this chicken come out of an egg. Now, what do we remember? To this day, the Gobbledygooker.
Try that again. What is the Gobbledygooker?
He's a chicken. He's a turkey.
Thank you.
I've been obsessed with pelicans lately. I love them. Love them. You know how I got here? Hold on. How I got here was I want to see the size of a pelican egg. I want to know if it's like normal size or like chicken egg size, or if it's bigger. I've been obsessed with pelicans lately. Wisconsin just got pelicans a few years ago, and now we have them all over. You can follow this podcast wherever you would like on all forms of social media at Going Postl Pod. You can follow me on at Dylan Postl on all forms of social media. YouTube.com/Dylan Postl. If you're not watching the video versions, that's okay. What I would like you to do, head over to YouTube.com/Dylan Postl. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that notification bell. We got a lot more on here besides just these Going Postls and these small talks. And there's more coming down the pike.
And hey, like Dylan mentioned at the beginning of the episode, you can go over to swoggleauction.com. Get yourself a free $10 credit over at Whatnot, because tonight, if you're listening to this on the day of release, Swoggle has a Whatnot auction tonight. Also, make sure to go check out DylanPostl.com for all things Swoggle, ProWrestlingTees.com/Swoggle for all of his shirts, PodXchange.shop for all of the PodXchange Network shows. That is this podcast, State of Affairs, and the Game Marks podcast. That's PodXchange.shop, PodXchange.shop. And speaking of the Game Marks podcast, that is my other podcast that I do with double, triple, quadruple main man, Johnny Clash, but on this podcast, he goes by
Curse.
the low energy one. I gotta stop doing it twice. And we break down a different video game each and every week. We would very much appreciate it if you joined us. You can follow along with us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Dylan's got another show. It's a little controversial, little hot button topics each and every week. It's called The State of Affairs. It's him and Captain Joe Shoes. Dylan, tell him about it.
We argue. Shoes gets mad. He calls me a little shit. I win. Pretty much
You
sums
also
up.
get mad.
No, I keep my calm, which makes Joseph very, very upset. When I keep calm, he gets mad.
Subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, Podbean, wherever you choose to listen to your podcast. Leave us a review and a rating. Hopefully it's 5 stars. But that's it, man. Dylan, we've talked about all things. Swoggle versus Chavo. I think there's nothing left to do but for you to do that signature sign off that the people know and love.
He wore a goddamn mask. The proof's in the pudding right there. Guys, let's talk about Mad Cat Beard Care. They make my beard feel soft, silky smooth, and they can do the same for yours. A one-man show since 2019, Mad Cat uses a portion of their sales to care for local stray cats. That money covers their medical bills and finds them safe spaces and forever homes. Their products are made to order with vitamins and all-natural oils that promote strong, healthy hair and moisturize your skin as well. They've got exclusive scents for myself, as well as other wrestlers like my good pal Brian Myers, Mr. Kennedy, and Ring of Honor legend Delirious. Make sure to check out all of their scents, along with my Swoggle scent, which has notes of lavender and sage. I absolutely love this scent. And guys, we've got an exclusive offer for listeners of Going Postl. Use promo code SWOGGLED to save yourself 15% on your orders only at madcatbeardcare.com. That is Swoggled with a D on the end to save yourself 15% on your orders at madcatbeardcare.com. Guys, that's 15% with promo code SWOGGLed. And remember, the Mad Cat makes a happy beard.